Hey there Virgo, it's Viv and this is your week ahead read for the 23rd to the 29th of July 2018. I'm using the Modern Spellcasters Tarot again. It's an 8 card spread, or it's usually an 8 card spread. There's 9 cards, I'll explain as we go along. One is the overall energy for the week, and then one card normally for the other days of the week, Monday through Sunday. I've done this for the other zodiac signs, so I'm also reading the bottom card of the deck, which in your case is the Knight of Pentacles. So starting with the overall energy for the week, this is sort of like the energy that permeates through everything, the glue that's sort of holding everything together, which is sort of like a breaking apart. This is it's a very challenging card. It's a card of unexpected change. It could be flashes of insight, things occurring to you that just suddenly change everything. You're some kind of communication that rocks your world. Something that you thought was stable and secure changes, and it's different. This is change, and people can feel threatened by change. People can feel really upset by change. But look, the damage here, the top's been knocked off, but there's still a strong tower that's still standing, So this is something that it feels like a change on the surface, unexpected change on the surface, but challenging nevertheless. So that's the energy for the week. Now, as we go into the week, we've got somebody. We've got the Queen of Cups, and I like the Queen of Cups. She's a really sort of loving presence. She's very kind-hearted, a really sincere energy. But what I'm drawn to when I look at this card is that she's got a hand over the cup. So there's something very contained about her. There's something that she's not giving away. Something that she's keeping to herself. She's kind of dark and mysterious. She feels like she's very closely related to the High Priestess in this deck, and I'm drawn by the sort of the big symbol of the moon behind her, and there's all of the moon phases there. So I don't know why this is occurring to me. It is just occurring to me, so I'm just going to say, if this is a lady, it could be a lady that's going through menopause, or somebody that's in their monthly cycle at the moment. It could be somebody who is really in tune with their intuition. But there's definitely a feeling of reservedness here. There's definitely a feeling of containment, keeping things to herself. It's almost very sort of like a dark and mysterious energy here. And I've kind of got the feeling that that's about to change, that something's gonna the influence of the energy this week is maybe going to catch her off guard, catch her off balance. I don't know, maybe it's just going to force her more inward and more sort of internal. As we go through the week, I think the influence of the Tower here does sort of upset the apple cart, and there's all sorts of conflict going on. These are kind of like petty conflicts. These are people playing silly games, really. This could be you, Virgo. It could be somebody around you, somebody in your environment that doesn't really they're giving the appearance of caring about you, but they care more about themselves, really. So they're very self-interested. They're not that bothered about your interests, although to all intents and purposes they would be your best mate, but they aren't really. And perhaps it's their influence or the discovery that this person is not really the friends that that you'd like them to be. You know, that this is this sort of like knocks you for six a little bit, and maybe challenges your composure. But the influence of this card, I think maybe you're keeping to yourself. You're keeping very contained. There's there's two cards out for Wednesday, and one is the Nine of Wands, and then we had the King of Pentacles that came out sort of at an angle like that. So there is quite a strong influence of this kind of practical, down-to-earth groundedness, because somebody here is defensive and feeling threatened. You know, there's all of these wands going on. There's the influence of the Tower. So somebody, they're in a really kind of uncomfortable position, but that is tempered somewhat by the presence of the King of Pentacles, because this is a card of experience. You know, I'm thinking, what I'm getting here is that you've been through this before, that, you know, you're not unfamiliar with this situation, and your experience is counting for loads here. You know, that you're keeping a tap on your you're keeping your emotions inwards. You're keeping your thoughts to yourself about it. Your feelings towards this person, I think, are changing, but you're not as you know, if you've been defensive before, then you're not as defensive, in that the King of Pentacles here, which is sort of like, you know, it's very practical, down to earth, very grounded, you know, benefits a great deal from experience. It tempers the effect of this defensiveness here. You know, that there's almost like a sense of paranoia with this card, but that it's very tempered and calmed down. And if this is you, Virgo, then I'm feeling that there's you know, that there's the influence of the Queen of Swords around your attitude towards this. Queen of Swords, she can be quite sharp. She's also somebody else who disguises her feelings. You know, that she's also quite dark and mysterious, and so she's covering her the depth of feeling that she has. You know, maybe what's happened before has cut her deep. But she's choosing not to speak about it. You know, she is her feelings are tempered, and she's very much in control. She's kind of having to brace herself. You know, she feels like she feels the need for stability. She's planted herself in a very kind of stable, unmoved, almost stubborn point of view. You know, but this, I think she's determined not to react in the same way before. And this is, you know, the influence then is kind of upsetting for everybody else. You know, that there's everybody else is feeling challenged, I think, because you're determined not to behave in the same way, or somebody is determined not to behave in the same way. There's perspective here. You know, perspective comes with this Tower moment. The Queen of Wands is a really effective action taker as well, but she sees things as they really are, and acts accordingly. You know, she acts with integrity, She's very truthful, but she's a powerful character. And you know, we've got 3 queens here, and so this is very, very nurturing energy. This is a real sense of looking after yourself, sort of taking care of your own feelings and putting yourself first for once, which is great. That's really great. I think there's contemplation that comes with that. There's a time out. Somebody takes a time out. Somebody goes into themselves and has a good think about things. You know, I think this is somebody who's putting distance between themselves and the situation. Somebody, I'm drawn by the crab on the scarf around this guy's head here. It's like somebody's gone into their shell, and they may be thinking about the mistakes that have been made in the past. They may be tempted to beat themselves up about those mistakes that have been made in the past, but you know, I don't think there's too much going there. I don't think there's too much going over it. Because I think what happens here, the influence of this tower is like, you know, that this is, it changes because this kind of cascading sort of influence down, you know, by the time we get out at the by the time we come out at the end of the week, I think you find yourself in a much more stable position, that the influence of this King of Pentacles card has really tempered everything down. And now we've got the Ten of Pentacles here, where there's a much more social atmosphere, that there's a feeling of you know, chatting, getting on, people treating each other well. There's respect, there's good manners, there's abundance, there's a lot to be thankful for. You know, there's growth here, there's experience here, there's wealth here, and so that's I think the overall, what I'm getting is that the overall message is the change that kind of rocks your world but ends up in a good way. You know, you might, is that these feel like the 2 most important cards. So we've got the Nine of Wands and the King of Pentacles here, and this kind of emotional drama with that defensive card feels really tempered by the presence of the King of Wands. This the underlying card, the card at the bottom of the deck, is the Knight of Pentacles, and this can be a card of extremes. So this can be somebody who makes very steady progress, or it's somebody that really you know, goes at something and it's sort of like all bets are off, and they can be quite reckless. But that's changed. That's the change here. You know, there's different thinking, there's different attitude, there's different insights, and this can be challenging for other people. But my feeling for you, Virgo, by the end of the week is that it brings you so much more stability, that this you know, the change is in you, and you know, there's great perspective here, and this is you, rather than giving your power away in a tricky situation with tricky people, dealing with people that maybe don't have your best interests at heart. You know, that the change is that you decide, you know what, I'm looking after myself and it's my turn, and you know, I'm not letting this go the same way that it's gone before. I'm just determined not to let that happen. So this is a change, and it's a change for the better. So there we go. Those are your messages for this week. I hope you found that useful. I hope it resonated. I'll be back again next time with another weekly read. I'll also be doing the monthly reads for August, so hopefully I'll get those up before next weekend. So until the next time, thanks very much for tuning in and take care.